Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Let's Play Higurashi Meakashi Chapter 5. I strongly suggest the Higurashi visual novels as well as animes, and I just really quickly wanted to say that to the developers of this game as well as the developers of the anime, I would like you to make more. Either more Higurashi or more of a brand new game. And new anime. And no, I will not be playing Ubaneko. But if they want to do something brand new or more Higurashi, granted, we do have 5 other Higurashi games to do after this one. And, of course, many of the animes go over entirely new story scenarios where they change a lot of things. So, even if you've seen one Higurashi anime, the others, even though they can have different animation styles, they actually largely do have different stories and entirely different scenes and plots. It's kind of like how Gundam and Tenchi Muyo is. Like, you have Gundam, G Gundam, Tenchi, Gundam Wing. Same thing with Tenchi. Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi OVAs, Tenchi Universe, Tenchi Tokyo, GXP, War on Geminar, AI. It took them a long time to come for me. I had to wait until the following morning. And like I said, there's different variations. Like right now we're in the one where Shion goes crazy and locks Mion in a cell downstairs and takes Mion's identity. In one of the animes, though, Shion's completely innocent. And Mion is going on murdering a bunch of people, actually. So, it's a Russian roulette. There's different versions of the story in which literally every character in this game takes turns being the villain. I still think a Shadow of War mod with Higurashi characters would be cool. Or I can imagine if you made an anime in the style of Higurashi, but you made the plot, say, Shakespeare, or the Canterbury Tales, or Edgar Allan Poe, or the Odyssey. I had to wait until the following morning. I opened the gate without checking who was ringing the doorbell. I didn't even care who it was. If it was the police, that'd be fine with me. If it was Kei-chan, could he defeat me? Keiichi and Rena were there. Well, this is unusual. Aren't you two going to school? We stayed home today. Kei-chan is one thing, but you two, Rena? You two are such troublemakers. I laughed. Well, let's not just stand here. Come on in. I didn't think Rena would come. I thought it would be either the police or Kei-chan alone. I'll try tricking Kei-chan into coming with me to the underground storehouse. Rena, why don't you try to figure out what I'm attempting to do and stop me? You too, Kei-chan. If you figured out I was Shion, why don't you try to figure out the rest? I will act like a demon. I will struggle until the very last moment. So don't hold back. Please don't hesitate to kill a filthy demon like me. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for. You do? What for? Well, on the night of the Tanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went in there. I didn't expect this to start with an apology. Okay, so he admitted the sin of entering the ritual storehouse. I guess that was manly of him. I don't even care if the storehouse is forbidden anymore. Whatever. That rule came from those who believed it was even a sacred place at all. Mion, you called Rika-chan and Satoko the day before last, didn't you? I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, could you let me hear it? It was evening before dinner time. Rika-chan should have come here, bringing a big bottle of soy sauce to have you share some with her. Rena spoke with confidence. She wasn't even trying to gauge her reaction. She was simply telling me the truth. That cleverness was pleasant to see. Why do you think that? It's not hard to understand. Mi-chan, you saw it too, didn't you? Rika-chan's room? There was chilled tofu but no soy sauce. Plus the big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found. What? Is that why she would have come here? Rena sure is sharp. I tried to beat her on the bush, but she was confident in her conclusions. She was cornering me. She was doing such a great job, too. It really put me at ease. Okay, Demon. Rena knows what she's talking about. What kind of excuse are you going to come up with now? It's a long explanation, so I'll get to the point. The contents of the refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you said over the phone when you lured her out. There it is. This game is over. Rena, I was right about you. I don't like you. You really are just too sharp. Shion is so obtuse that she never even recognized this side of you. That's... I have no idea I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe you'd figured everything out down to the phone conversation, just from what was inside the fridge. Ha ha ha. You've got me there. You've got me. You've got me. Ha 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 ha. I laughed like crazy. I laughed because I was having so much fun. I sensed the poison inside of my stomach dissipating, and felt free and refreshed. Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Oishi-san's officers have had the house under observation so they could break in at any time. Kei-chan was threatening me. He was telling me I couldn't run or resist, so I should just surrender and accept my fate. You aren't doing that intensely enough, Kei-chan. Shouldn't you grab my collar and knock me to the ground? Today is the day I'm prepared to die. After that, they went easy, because they just wanted to know the reason why Mion committed such crimes. You are all being too lenient about this. I am a demon. I'm a murderer. Are you saying that if you can understand the reasoning, murder is okay? A demon is a demon. A murderer is a murderer. Whether their motive is to have fun, to live, or to take revenge, that makes no difference. Why do you even want to know that? Why don't you just tackle me and take me to the police? Look, there, the demon is trying to deceive you. It's a pleasure to meet both of you. I am the successor of the Sonozaki family. Mion, welcome to the Sonozaki family's house today. I'd like to greet you on behalf of our leader, Oryu. You seem to want to ask various questions. I'd like to answer everything as clearly as possible. I then told him about the strange events that led Onikafushi village becoming Hinamizawa, which Takano-san had told me about before. About half of it was the truth, but the other half was completely made up. I just made it sound like it was only natural that their best friend committed such a gruesome crime. Keiichi and Rena were both overwhelmed by the history of Onikafushi village, which was swallowed by this gloomy fate. Oh well, I guess I made it sound interesting enough. I'm sure they enjoyed hearing me tell the story. But you know, I'm the one who committed the incidents that happened in the present time. What was the point of listening to those old folk tales? Are you thinking it will make your best friend's crime easier to swallow? You're just trying to satisfy yourselves. I'm a demon. I'm a murderer. I have sinned. These old folk tales have nothing to do with the crimes I've committed. The way those two listened to me so intensely almost made it fun. I told them that people used to make canned human meat and conducted gruesome research during the war. Those were things Takano-san told me. Hey, you two, haven't you realized yet? Haven't you realized that what I'm talking about has nothing to do with what we're dealing with right now? You both look so serious. You two are such fools. So that Hinamizawa might once more be like Onikafushi Vigilant, so that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That's the mission of those who inherit the demon of the Sonozaki main family. Those who inherit the demon. For generations, the Sonozaki family has had a custom of including the character of a demon and the names of its successors. If you write out my name on your hand, it should appear plain as day. Keiichi tried to write Mion on his palm. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there. Not only in my name either, the demon is engraved on my body as well. I stood up and made to show my bare back. Of course, I don't actually have a tattoo there. It's okay, Mi-chan. You don't need to show us, okay? Thank you. I laughed a little. They must really believe that I'm their best friend, Mion. My goodness. The demon has won already. They were doing so well at the beginning, too. I eventually sat back down after I finished telling my made-up tearjerker stories. It's your loss if you all shed any tears now. I looked at Keiichi. He wasn't crying, but he was overcome by emotion. I looked at Rena. Surprisingly, she still maintained an aggressive look, showing me her will to fight. But Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, you killed them, didn't you, Mi-chan? You're good, Rena. You know what I just told you is an excuse. You know what I just told you is an excuse for murder. You usually act like such a goofball, but that's not how you really are. You sure are something. You're far sharper than Shion. I'm not saying that it's okay if you killed other people. Regardless, Mi-chan, you killed Rika-chan and Satoko-chan. I'm not trying to justify what I've done. I have a demon inside me. The demon is in my name, in my body, and also in my soul. But the demon wasn't the one who killed them. I did. Sonozaki Mion did. Rika-chan and Satoko died because Mion wanted them dead. That will never change. Haha, you're right, Rena. Come on, Rena. Try to figure out who I really am. You still believe Shion, my victim, is the real culprit. Poor Shion. I'm making Rena believe you're responsible. That was it for Rena, though. She couldn't figure out I was Mion. Please, turn yourself in. Rena spoke to Mion. We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend by herself. Crying children and Rena are the only things I can't beat. Ha ha ha. Too bad, Rena. I've won. I'm well aware of how serious my own crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here. So I'd like you to hear one last selfish request. What is it? 30 minutes is fine. Just let me have some time alone with Kei-chan. Eh? Keiichi looked startled to suddenly hear his name. You're so insensitive, Keiichi. That's what made my sister cry. Keiichi-kun, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, then I won't make you. She's right. It's okay if you don't want to. After all, I'm a demon. And Kei-chan is a bona fide human who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible as long as we share doesn't exist to meditate, it simply isn't possible. Keiichi hesitated a little. Come on, Kei-chan, condemn me. Condemn me and tell me you'd never go. Sure, it's fine. Thank you. Fool. I'd like to thank you too, Keiichi-kun. Rena stood up. As promised, she made to leave. It's fine, Rena. You can wait right here. I just want to go around the garden with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room. You can read any manga you like. And if there's any volumes you want, you might as well take them. I don't want to. Mi-chan's books belong to Mi-chan. Rena couldn't bring them back home with her so freely. You're such a good kid only at a time like this. I took Rena's head and rubbed it like Satoshi-kun used to do to me. Okay, let's go, Kei-chan. The game was over. Too bad, Rena. At least this was more fun than if Kei-chan came alone. If he did, he could have asked me to run away with him after hearing my stories. Rena's eyes were like those of a judge. In those eyes I sensed both affection and observance. I said 30 minutes, so she would probably only wait for 30 minutes. If I took it even a second longer, she'd call Oishi. I'm a little disappointed. Rena still thinks I'm Mion. She didn't manage to see through me. I thought someone like her would see the demon in me. I guess I was wrong. Too bad. Keiichi followed me. After putting his shoes on, can I hold your arm? Such a humble request. I don't mind. I took Keiichi's arm. It was as warm as Satoshi-kun's. I felt a little bewildered. Did you get kind of nervous with your arm through mine? You're not thinking, for example, that I suddenly put you in world-class joint lock or anything. You two say the same things. I don't think that. At all. He was remembering the time when I held his arm in town. I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan. I see. I told him how my sister felt. Shion was with Satoshi-kun for a long time. But what they had was friendship. They never had anything more than that. That was why she fell in love with Keiichi. If I were in her position, I also would have fallen in love with him. If Shion was able to fall in love with him, then I could fall in love with him too. Keiichi smiled gently. I almost saw Satoshi-kun smile in that smile. The Keiichi I knew was worthless and superficial. I never realized he could smile like Satoshi-kun. Mion and Shion, you got along well, didn't you? Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along? Huh? My right hand and left hand? I don't think you could describe them as getting along or not. That's how our relationship is. You can't measure it by how well we get along. We'd been together since we were born. We've been living in this world as a pair. But I was Mion and she was Shion. Mion was treated specially, and I insisted on being her. Of course, that was unpleasant for Shion. Deciding to be fair, we switched places all the time. We were probably different from other identical twins. We didn't really like the same things or do things the same way. We even managed to share our knowledge and experiences. When we talked about our experiences, we could share them. As Mion and Shion, we shared everything. That was why each of us was both Mion and Shion at the same time. No, maybe Shion was the only one who thought that way. I was a little different than that. I was simply letting Shion be Mion once in a while. I was Mion's successor to the Sonozaki family. I was supposed to be treated specially. I always thought that was my privilege. Just like everyone tried to distinguish between Mion and Shion, I also tried to distinguish between us. For example, one of your hands is dominant, so there will always be a better hand. If you only had one of them, you would put it on your dominant hand without thinking, right? I think maybe it was like that for us. That doesn't mean, though, that anybody would be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship. I think that maybe you live too close together and just stop being able to see it, but I think that means you get along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous of you when you and Shion were messing around with each other. I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun trading places with each other, but now that we have such distinctly different personalities, our resemblance only gets in the way. As an older sister, I felt I was mean for thinking that way, so as punishment I became Shion. Who am I? I never had a solid identity in the first place. I was Mion, then I was Shion. I should have just accepted that, but something has changed. I don't even know if I'm Mion or Shion anymore. Had I really been stupid enough to hope that Rena would figure that out for me? Shion is still alive. Really? Keiichi looked into my eyes. I nodded quietly. Yeah, I'd been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I kept her locked up. I never did think of a good way to do it, though. This was a lie. I've already come up with ideas, and I've already begun to execute them. I dumped the hag into the well in front of Shion. I dumped Kimiyoshi and Rika in there. I even killed Satoko, too, and right now I'm plotting to kill Keiichi, who Shion fell in love with. I am a demon. Any such gruesome act is simply pleasure to me. That's when I felt a warm hand rubbing against my head. It wasn't Satoshi's hand, but Keiichi's. Keiichi and Satoshi-kun are totally different. Why did Shion fall in love with him? His rough hand didn't make me happy. That he understood my feelings was just my imagination. I wasn't happy and it didn't feel good. It didn't. Come with me. I want you to see all of my sins. Although, Kei-chan, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen. I'm going to commit my final crime. I'm going to let you see it. And I'm going to let Shion see it. And when I do, are you still going to think I'm your best friend? Poor Shion. Kei-chan is going to die thinking it's you who's killing him. If you want to turn back, now's your chance. I don't know what impression you have of Mion Sonozaki, but it will surely change once you go inside. It'll never change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. You are such a fool. You don't sound cool at all. I don't understand human feelings because now I'm a demon. But I think I can understand why she loves you. I opened the iron door to the underground storehouse and beckoned Keiichi inside. Come on, Keiichi. This is obviously a trap. Don't you see? This basement is transparently suspicious. Don't you think you should run to the police? But Keiichi was reckless. He swallowed, then stepped inside. Ha! You really are a fool. We went down to the stairs to the basement, and I led him into the torture room. Everyone is shocked their first time visiting this room. I used to be that way. Of course, Keiichi looked surprised too, but he was trying not to show it. Obviously, he wanted to express his shock at seeing this horrifying room, but he also knew that if he voiced that shock that he would be rejecting his best friend, who was trying to confess her sins to him. So he did everything he could to stifle his surprise. According to something a family head from a long time ago wrote, blood splatter has impact, and despite the fact that it doesn't tax the sacrifice, Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent after all. My ancestors thought of all different kinds of showy torture. That's a space for the audience. Watanagashi is a deterrent after all. It wouldn't make sense if there was no guests. Keiichi smiled quietly as he listened to me. No matter what cruelty came out of my mouth, he would embrace me. Was this really the superficial Keiichi Mamoru I knew? Right here is where I killed everyone. There were no spectators to watch me, but I held a Watanagashi of my own. Well, perhaps there was one spectator. Huh? A spectator? Me. I, the demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the ceremony. I started to laugh. How many hints do you need, Keiichi, when you are going to figure out I'm not really your best friend? Come on, hurry up. You're running out of time. The game is almost over. This was a game. This kind of reminds me, there's a Slayers anime. It's got multiple different versions as well, and a lot of different seasons. It's even got some movies. It's originally based off a bunch of light novels, as are many other great animes, such as Overlord and Reincarnation as a Slime. That being said, there's also some very good fanfictions by Stefan Gagne, Gagne. Reflection, Chaos, Rebirth, Demiurge, and Virtual. I'm making a reference to that because this what was just mentioned in this line and the next. There's a sort of mind game going on in a situation where a person's in a pseudo-reality temporarily, and the game is a game of you. That's all the context I'll give you. If you want to know more, you have to read the visual novels. Well, actually the light novels. There is no visual novel to it. Though, honestly, it probably would make really great visual novels. But the original novels were written like 30, 40 years ago, and the fan fiction novels that are really great, written like 20 plus years ago. I'm not even sure if any of the authors are still alive, of the fan fiction or the original. This was a game of murder. I had killed people using my revenge for Satoshi as an excuse. The demon was trying to capture Keiichi and kill him before Mion's eyes. But Keiichi had a chance. If he figured out I wasn't his best friend, then he'd win. If not, he was out. When did I come up with that rule? I guess it was sometime today, or did I come up with it just a minute ago? Since the two of them aren't too bright, I decided to be easy on them, I guess. You are Mion's best friends, right? Don't you believe in her? Have you already made Mion into a murderer within yourselves? Why don't you try to protect Mion within you? Why don't you try to believe your friend can't be a murderer? If you could believe until the very end, like Satoko did, you would have realized I wasn't Mion, your best friend, but just someone who looks like her. But if you can't, if you still believe that I'm Mion, then you're just like me. I killed Satoshi-kun within me so easily, and you will do the same. You don't deserve to live. Back there is a prison. Is Shion there? You're not going to make it. Once you reach Shion's cell, your time is up. The demon will win. Shion! Is that Shion? Kei-chan! Is that you, Kei-chan? Keiichi ran to the cell. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt? No. Shion screamed. I was standing right behind Keiichi. It was time. My preparations to kill the boy she loved were complete. For her, this was going to be the worst possible torture. Calm down, Shion. Everything is over now. Everything. Keiichi tried to quell Shion's distress by talking to her in a calm voice. It was such a funny sight. Keiichi was the only one who had no idea what was going on. Shion, how have you been? No more, please. No more. I don't want to see anyone else die. If you hate me, then just kill me already. I'm the one you hate the most, right? Kill me right now. Sis! Calm down, Shion. It's all over now. It's going to be alright, so calm down. Relax. I won't kill you. No, I won't kill you just yet. It's game over. Game over. I gave you enough chances. You cornered me quite well once. But that was it. You couldn't figure out that I'm not your best friend, Mion. You couldn't believe that Mion isn't a murderer. Please, stop. Don't kill Kei-chan. Kei-chan has nothing to do with this, does he? If you're going to kill someone, then kill me right now. I don't want anyone else to die. Ah ha 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 ha. If you want to die that badly, then after I've killed this man, I'll take my time making mincemeat out of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your extremities. I'll shave you down and mince you to bits. I had that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Or it would be funnier if I were to mince up Kei-chan in front of you. Hey, quit it already. What do you have to gain by scaring her at this point? No, Kei-chan, run away! Here you are, demon. Go ahead, take my soul. I'd been living my life to avenge Satoshi-kun, but that wasn't what he wanted from me. That was just for my own satisfaction. I couldn't even face Satoshi-kun, so I'll bring this to an end in the way I want. The world became a total mess. Satoshi-kun hates me, and I hate myself too. I'm going to complete my revenge. I don't want anyone to sympathize with me. I won't pretend to be some tragic heroine either. I'm going to become a murderer that nobody could sympathize with. So please, grant a suitable final moment to me. A bluish-white flash filled the huge cave. Keiichi fell down like a doll. Shion reached out to him from the other side of the bars. She screamed at me to not kill Keiichi. Go ahead, cry, and blame me. Don't even think of offering your forgiveness. I am the most rotten existence in this world. So please, grant me the worst possible ending. Shion begged me, desperate to let Keiichi go. I simply abused her, slandered her, and disgraced her. The more Shion suffered, the deeper I'd fall into hell. It wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to deep enough. It wasn't deep enough to compensate for my sins. I dragged Keiichi to the table. Then I tried putting Sadako on and restrained him there. Keiichi began to move sluggishly. The stun gun must not have worked too well on him. Can you hear it, Shion? I'm going to get started now. Savor Kei-chan's fresh screams to your heart's content. Give it a fucking rest. Keiichi squeezed out those words. He sounded good, like he was about to bite me. Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie. I smiled as I laid out the huge nails and hammer, specially made for the nail table. I'll let her hear the screams of all the people that died because of her. And after they've soaked into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've gotten pretty good taste, right? Huh? Heh. Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Have you lost your mind from fear? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion Sonozaki. I stopped moving. Kei-chan? Shit. I decided the naming game would be over once we reached Shion's cell. Therefore, even if you guessed this time, it would be too late. Oh well, sure. I'll listen to you. This is your last chance. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, then who am I? Come on, Kei-chan, guess who I am. Why don't you try and save Mion, the girl who fell in love with you? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kei-chan? Is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear. Don't touch me, you damn demon. Give her back. Give Mion back, my best friend. Give Mion back. I listened to him with a blank expression. I know it's nonsense to demand Mion's return when she's right in front of me, but this person in front of me can't possibly be Mion. I can't accept that. Ah, that's great. So I'm not Mion or Shion. He doesn't even see me as my sister. No, wait, that's not it. Keiichi protected the Mion in his heart until the end. He didn't accept the fact that Mion was a murderer, and not just that either. He protected the Shion in his heart as well. He didn't conclude that if Mion wasn't a murderer, then it must have been Shion. To Keiichi, Shion was someone who always made fun of Mion, but that was it. It wasn't like they had known each other for a long time. But Keiichi protected her. He protected Shion from being a murderer. Haha, that's why I'm a demon. And not Mion or Shion, huh? A demon, huh? A demon, ha ha ha, that's stupid. Ha ha, but isn't that just right on the money? Ha ha ha. Wah. Kei-chan, are you trying to drown me in my own tears? Ha ha ha, wah. However, Keiichi didn't back off. He kept screaming. He screamed loudly, so that I could hear his voice even when I was stuck inside of a demon. You can do it, Mion. Don't lose to this piece of shit demon. You're strong. Show me how strong you are. Wahaha. Wahaha. Surely he isn't talking to me knowing that I'm the real Mion, right? He's just confusing us again. So there's no reason to let my heart be disturbed by Keiichi's screams toward Mion. Come on, Mion! Mion! Why did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't give up. Fight! Fight! He's right, I didn't fight back. How did he know? How did he know I didn't fight back? I lost to the demon. After all, I'm weak. I'm not strong enough to defeat the demon. Even so, Keiichi continued to talk to Mion. His voice has become hoarse, and he had begun sobbing. He kept mumbling, Mion, Mion. Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you, but you really seem to want to know, so I'll tell you just one thing. A long time ago, the demon came to live inside me. It was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. The demon had become quiet, and I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left, it was just sleeping inside me. That was the truth. When I learned of Satoshi-kun's disappearance, a weak soul couldn't take the sadness, and anger filled me to the brim. But the insanity had stopped there. Time had healed me and embraced me with memories of Satoshi-kun. The demon woke up again due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? It was such a little thing. This might be strange for a demon to say, but you're the reason that everything got so messed up. A tear rolled down my cheek. At the time, if you had given me that doll you got without hesitation, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted you probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one, since it was so small. But you're the one who set them up. If Kei-chan wouldn't have done something so insensitive, Shion wouldn't have cried. Shion cried and talked to me about it. That had reminded me of Satoshi-kun. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. It was a very small jealousy, but that little feeling woke up the demon who was sleeping deep inside of me. After that, I just let the demon take over. The demon ate up all the sadness from my loss of Satoshi-kun and filled my heart with the notion of revenge, even though I knew that wouldn't make Satoshi-kun happy. Then the scary incidents that followed dragged me to hell, from whence there was no escape. That can't be, can it? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened. Was I simply transferring the blame to Keiichi? Such a tiny thing woke up the demon inside of me. The demon would have woken up eventually. I was at fault. I didn't fight back. I let the demon live in my soul. And I let the demon possess me. Oh. Keiichi didn't hide his tears. They were pouring down his cheeks. Maybe he was crying in my place since I'd become a demon and couldn't cry of my own will. Can I start now, then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the first joint of your left pinky finger. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. And then I'll go back to your pinky and nail one into the joint in the middle. And so on until the hammer of 15 nails your left hand. When that's over, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerve bundles in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you could imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands. So, I put a nail to Keiichi's left pinky. Once I hit it with the huge hammer, it would start. And it would be over. I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. But somehow, I do when it's you. If this will satisfy your demon, Mion. If it will sate the demon, then do to me what you will. I didn't understand what he had just said, so I tried to repeat his words in my head. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me two things. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? You, after all this, you still care about Shion more than yourself. I am Mion Sonozaki, so why are my eyes growing so damp when hearing Keiichi show concern for Shion? The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know Are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. Ha ha ha. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more. That's a shame. Even in this situation, Keiichi and I joked around and laughed. Then I knew. I knew why Shion fell in love with him. He's different from Satoshi-kun, but he's a good guy. I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. I guess there's nothing I can do then. Keiichi smiled, then closed his eyes. Kei-chan, I'll agree to just the third thing. Huh? Your first wish? To save Shion, that's not possible. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So please give up on that. I stroked Keiichi's chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body remains, it will just be a shell. Because the demon has taken over. That isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things, like that she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound? I've been hearing a noise. I knew what it had to be. Bang, bang, a dull sound, repeating in a regular rhythm. It was accompanied by a light tremor. People were trying to force open the iron door to the underground storehouse. You're late, so Rena probably called Oishi. That spaced-out girl being so quick-thinking was the one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Really? I wonder how much Kei-chan really knows about Rena. Rena Ryugu. I won this time. Rena couldn't figure out who I was until the end. Or maybe she did. Rena didn't seem confused about whether I was Mion or Shion. Perhaps Rena could tell Mion and Shion apart through her sense of smell. She was good at that kind of thing. No way. I'm overestimating her. I brought out my stun gun so Keiichi could see the sparks. You've probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegally modified and its power has been increased quite a bit. Was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know. You're right. Bang! They must have broken the first door. The path was complicated, but there was no other door except for this one to the torture room. I won't kill you, but I will have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. Oishi will be here soon. This will only hurt a bit. Keiichi bit down and smiled bitterly. I paused, hesitating a little. Keiichi opened his eyes to see what was wrong. I'm sorry for disgracing Mion. I made a promise before coming in here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited my corpse. Bizz. Keiichi fell unconscious. I locked the door to the torture room. I locked the door to the huge cave, too. That should give me some time. Shion, come on out. I opened the cell and told Shion to leave. She was crying. You asked me to let Kei-chan go, so I did. He's out cold because of the stun gun. The police should be here soon, so they'll set him free. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you still have something more to do. Shion has to escape from here. I took Shion to the cell with the hidden passage. Before that, I'll give Mion back to you. Eh? Take those clothes off. We're switching again. Here, the rubber band for your hair. Shion had no idea what was going on, but she changed her clothes as I ordered her to. I gave her the flashlight and she hung it around her neck. You go first. Find the hidden escape route at the bottom of the well. The light from the flashlight wasn't enough to entirely illuminate the way down. Nobody in their right mind would want to descend that well. But Shion obeyed and timidly climbed down the ladder. When she had passed entirely below the rim of the well, I brought up my stun gun and put it to Shion's head. Shion understood the meaning of that. Sis? I didn't kill Kei-chan just as you wanted. You told me I could kill you instead, didn't you? I'm going to keep our promise. Shion's hands and feet were clinging to a very unstable ladder, so there was no way she could protect herself. She was in a critical situation. You, who looks like Mion, need to fall into the bottom of this well and die. I look like Shion. Kei-chan will testify that I'm the victim. I'll wait in the cell for the police to get here. I'm sure they'll eventually find out the truth from our fingerprints. But by the time they get that far, I'll be hiding somewhere else. Pretty good, huh? Hehe. Are you killing me out of revenge for Satoshi? If you know that much, you should have been prepared. Go apologize to Satoshi-kun at the bottom of the well. Sis, Satoshi isn't at the bottom of the well. Huh? Didn't you say the bodies get dumped down here? All I said was that if he was killed at the Sonizaki house, this is where his body would be. What are you telling me now? Can't you be a little clearer? I also liked Satoshi. Yeah, I'm sure. I liked him after all. I was very sad when Satoshi-kun disappeared, so I looked into things. And I interrogated Granny. I interrogated Granny. I even thought about throttling her. Then she told me She said she was only telling me as the successor, so I had to keep it a secret. What she said was something hard to believe. The hag said to Shion, the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with the disappearance of Satoshi-kun. Shion couldn't understand, so she asked again. The Sonozaki family held a lot of influence in the underworld because of our dad's connections, and in fact they used such illegal measures during the dam conflict. Therefore, people just assumed the Sonozaki family had pulled the strings when the dam construction incident took place. Even the hag laughed meaningfully and said suspicious things, so everyone believed she was the mastermind, but it was all a performance. It was a hoax by the Sonozaki family head. It was just a bluff. The family took credit for the incidents to make it look like they were pulling the strings. With the influence they already had, this bluff was very believable. Therefore, people thought of the Sonozaki family as the one that had deep connections in the underworld, and that they were capable of producing any sort of conspiracy. People believed that since the dam conflict, Oryu just smiled at things she had nothing to do with, as if she was pulling the strings. When the relatives saw that, they became fearful of Oryu's power. When the dam construction site manager was killed, Oryu smiled meaningfully. When the relatives saw that, they assumed Oryu was behind it. When the Hojo couple fell off the cliff, when the Furude couple died violently, when Satoshi-kun's aunt died and Satoshi-kun disappeared, the hag just smiled meaningfully. Everyone believed the Sonozaki family was behind all those incidents. That's a lie. Are you trying to tell me the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with any of it? How can I believe that? I don't think Granny would lie, especially about Satoshi-kun's disappearance, since she said she knew nothing about it because Granny approved of the relationship between Satoshi and you, remember? You ripped her nails off so she would forgive everything. No, that's a lie. Don't try to fool me. Then who made Satoshi-kun disappear? Who? That I don't know. I have already spoiled the answer to that in the previous video, and the video before that. So, it's Mio. It's Mio Takano. She's not even dead. She fakes her death by burning another person's body in an oil drum. She's also the one who kidnapped Satoshi. She's the one who killed the construction site manager. She's technically the one who kills Keiichi at the end of this story, even though he sees a hallucination of Mion. Well, technically, after, air quotes, Shion shocks after the one that was killing everyone shocks the other sister and is taken to like a hotel room somewhere, she then sneaks out wearing Mion's clothes, goes to Keiichi's house, lures him out, stabs him, leaves him for dead, even though he survives, and then she sneaks back to her hotel rooms, changes back her clothes, but then she loses her balance and falls off her balcony and dies in her Shion clothes. And then later on at the hospital, when after being saved thanks to the miracles of surgery, Keiichi then hallucinates Mion to try to kill him. But it's a hallucination brought on by advanced stage Hinamizawa syndrome because of the severe stress of all this. And the person actually killing him is Mio Takano, who is still alive. So technically all these murders have been done by Mio Takano. And the Sonozakis have just been claiming credit for it because they know they can't be prosecuted, but they also know that they can use it to basically fearmonger and get more, influence and solidify their political power. That I don't know. But it wasn't the Sonozaki family. It wasn't Granny. You know the curse system, right? The hag didn't need to give a command for Satoshi to be attacked. All she had to do was look concerned, and then someone else would take care of it. That was the system. Shion couldn't say anything in response. Even if the hag had forgiven him personally, as long as he was the object of the curse, the execution would follow him forever. Granny told me that She had tried to find out who was actually behind the curse of Oyoshiro-sama for a long time, but she couldn't. Everyone believed it was someone in the village, but she couldn't find out who it was. It's Mio Takano. She couldn't find out? Then why did the curse take place every year? Isn't it weird? But there wasn't anyone. There really wasn't. I told you that Rika Furude tried to attack me earlier with a syringe, didn't I? How do you explain that? She wasn't just acting out of desperation like a cornered rat. She came over to my house and attacked me with a bottle of pepper spray and a syringe. I bet Tomitaki was killed with that same stuff. That, I don't know. I can't believe Rika-chan would do something like that. I'm the one who saw how she died, and I still can't believe it. What a completely abnormal way to go. I don't think Shion and the hag are lying. That would mean the hag wasn't in as much control as we thought she was. She didn't know anything about the scary drug, or if the Furude family was one of the executing the curse. If the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with it, then who made the serious mysterious deaths possible? It was Nazis. Was it just a coincidence? Yes. It's a Team 4-star Helsing Alucard reference. That something happened. It is a JoJo reference. My whole life is a JoJo reference. Happened 5 years in a row on the night of Tanagashi. That's impossible. A human must have made it happen. And it was all decided somewhere the Sonozaki family wasn't aware of. The Kimiyoshi family didn't know anything. Kimiyoshi believed the Sonozaki family was behind it. Was it the Furude family? With Rika's behavior and the elderly people who believed in her so blindly, did some kind of power exist around the Furude family that created the curse? No way. The Furude couple themselves were victims of it. How could a little girl like Rika possess a power stronger than that of the Sonozaki family? No way. It's just impossible. In other words, I had killed the heads of all three families and was trying to bring an end to the whole thing, and all as a result of a misunderstanding about the dark secret Hinamizawa. Then what about my revenge? Did I kill all the wrong people? People who had nothing to do with Satoshi-kun's disappearance at all? Yes, you did. To be fair, though, the nail thing was still fucked up and wrong. You know, with being forced to rip out your fingernails. But, yeah, everyone you killed had nothing to do with Satoshi's death. Or, well, with anybody that's died in this fucking village. You have literally killed people that had nothing to do with any of the things that negatively affected you, other than them just being assholes to you, perhaps being a bit of jerks, and maybe ignoring a few other people that needed help. They could have helped with, like, Satoshi's family, or even later on another version story of Teppei. And it's still odd. Like, there's a version of the story where Satoko is, like, going through that abuse of Teppei, and Shion's actually, thinks of her as a little sister. And Shion's basically saying, I'm going to go murder Teppei in front of all the friends. And Keiichi's the one talking her down, telling her that, hey, that's not going to make things better. Because, that won't make Satoko happy. Then again, like I said, there's a lot of variations to the story. Heck, the initial variation of the story is Satoko's like completely innocent and everything. Then later on there's an anime version where Satoko's actually a supervillain. Like a space witch or something. Everyone's like, yeah, it's an oversimplification, but it's technically right. But yeah, technically Mio Takano is the one responsible and behind everything. That being said, Rika is literally talking to God, but God is also a very short, lolly character. So, basically you're having like space-time powers with the power of cunny, basically. That's what's happening. I feel like that, like the VTubers Lapis and Shondo, possibly even Gura, could probably get that reference. I don't know. But technically the people behind it is there's a hidden base with 100 Nazi doctors and soldiers using a biological warfare experiment on this town. Though, to be fair, Oyashiro-sama is real, but she's really not that powerful. But she is a benevolent being that largely wouldn't hurt anybody unless they're like really bad people. And even then, Oyashiro-sama would only hurt somebody if it's to protect other people. Also, Oyashiro-sama is literally just an immortal, thousands of years old anime lolly who's also a god, also a ghost, also a space alien. So, but it's largely a benevolent being that's just wanting to help people. And her main power is benevolent, intrusive thoughts. Basically, to try to tell people to not do bad things. It's just she's really failing at that job. Also, she tries to, like, scare and deter people from doing bad things. I mean, she's trying, but doing a bad job of that. Some timelines she can have a little bit more power, where she can, like, show up and appear in front of people. And she'll look at the people that are actually the bad people and try to glare at them and be angry. But apparently, if you're like a Nazi scientist doctor who's been murdering people in very brutal ways, if you just have like a short lolly cunny girl, if basically you're just standing there and cunny is like right there in front of you, glaring at you angrily to tell you to not be a bad person, turns out bad people are not deterred by that. Basically, it'd be like saying, imagine if you're a bad person, and then Gargura shows up and just angrily glares at you and tells you to stop being a bad person. Turns out, that doesn't work against bad people. Because if you're a bad person, you wouldn't care, and it wouldn't bother you. Whereas if you're a good person, that would be like, deterred by, like, say, Gargura or Shy Lily showing up and telling you to not murder people because it would make her sad. Probably if that would deter you, then you probably wouldn't be murdering people in the first place. I'm just saying this. If you're the kind of person that if a anime lolly showed up and told you not to murder people because it's wrong and it would make them feel sad, if that is the kind of thing that would deter you from committing murder, then you probably wouldn't be the kind of person to commit murder in the first place. In the same regard, if you're the kind of person that would be committing murder, I'm pretty sure if an anime lolly or VTuber just magically appeared in front of you and asked you to please not do it because it would make them feel sad, I don't think that would stop you. So it turns out the power of anime jiggle physics and Bishonen vibes and cunny and autism don't really work against serial killers or Nazis. So, yeah. It's kind of like, imagine this. Like, imagine like there's a person and they're like imagine some bad person. And they're doing really bad things. And then like imagine like Shondo or Smugalana or Kirsch show up. Or like Asmongold. Like imagine Asmongold just like shows up and says, "Hey man, don't do that. That's wrong." Pretty sure if a person's a bad person, they wouldn't care. And yet if you're the kind of person that would actually, listen to compassion or reason, well, you probably wouldn't have been doing that stuff to begin with. And everyone's like, Lunar, what are you thinking about right now? Ice cold Pepsi. I'm thirsty. I have a little bit of a Sprite. I think because I went to Arby's after work. But it's getting a bit flat. The ice is melting. And I have no Pepsi in the fridge. I want some Pepsi. And I want it to be cold. But if I go to Walmart and I get like a 12-pack of Pepsi, it's going to be warm for a while. Probably won't drink an ice cold can until after probably when I wake up before I go to work, since I work third shift, but still. I'm just saying this. Like, Oya Shirosama is actually a benevolent being that would never really want to hurt anyone who's innocent. And her entire mission is just to basically be a good person. Now, she tries to help good people to not go insane. It's kind of not her fault that Hinamizawa syndrome exists. Technically, what's happening here is, in this village, one, you have a bit of a corrupt underbelly crime syndicate sort of thing going on, which is getting blamed for these murders. But it turns out the corrupt Yakuza, religious fanatic crime syndicate people actually have nothing to do with anything. There's actually an army of a bunch of Nazi scientists led by Mio Takano and a bunch of AK-47s actually in secret watching all the events of this city like it's the Truman Show and experimenting on them because they're aware of the Hinamizawa virus, or rather parasite. Technically, everyone who lives in Hinamizawa is affected by it and infected by it. And I've already explained in depth how that works. So essentially what's happening is, this is a small village of a few thousand people. Everyone in this village is infected with a dormant condition of brainworms, which, when they become not so dormant, cause severe paranoia, hallucinations, violent tendencies, additional adrenaline, and psychosis, as well as anger, fear, and a huge dialing up of all emotions. And usually that's more than the average person can handle. And usually the worms are made more active by increases of brain secretions via severe stress. I've also explained why they become active if you leave Hinamizawa. I've already explained that in depth. A lot. So I'm not going to try to repeat myself a bunch because I'm already rambling on anyway. But essentially, there's a few thousand people in this village who are all infected with a dormant brain parasite that, when become active, their brain will become full of worms that will cause them to feel severe paranoia, fear, anger, and just lots of very strong emotions and lots of hallucinations. And not really be thinking in the best, frame. And have psychosis. There's a criminal underbelly to the city, but they largely are just trying to look out for their own interests and the interests of the village. There's a bunch of murders going on, but that has nothing to do with the underbelly. But the criminal mastermind people are claiming credit for it because it makes them look cooler. But they really have nothing to do with it. That being said, the real culprits of the actual murders is Mio Takano, the nurse, who's also an occult studier, who's also the leader of the Nazi army. So, imagine it's like she's the major from Hellsing Abridged with Team 4 Star. Though, I will say, Mio Takano, pretty nice. More attractive than the major. Try not to stop talking about hentai stuff, but again, Bishonen, Femboys, Futanari, Sylvia from Konosuba, Albedo from Overlord. Hey, there's a Shion character from Reincarnated as a Slime. She's really hot. Everyone's like, you're imagining her giant tits. Have you seen her giant tits? They're really nice. Heck, Sylvia from Konosuba has really big tits too. She's also tall. She also has a big dick. And now we've started talking about Futa, and everyone's like, why? And I'm like, hey. It's just, yeah. Anyway, Hinamizawa. Everyone's infected with brain parasites that can become active. under severe stress. There's some less than savory stuff going on. There's also a bunch of hidden Nazis that are actually responsible for everything. But the Yakuza people claim credit for the murders because it makes them look better. Plus, they're not really sure what happened. So they're also still trying to figure it out, but the Nazis are like really good at hiding. I feel like maybe the police and the Yakuza are not doing the great job if they can't notice the army of Nazis hiding in the mountain. Or that Mio Takano in every timeline fakes her own death so that she can... She's also the one who like kills Keiichi in every timeline. Heck, even in the timeline where he survives for like half a year afterward and dies. I mean, he either commits, in some version of it, it's suicide from the Hinamizawa syndrome, or it's Mio Takano coming for him. Now, that being said, a lot of times, Yoshiro-sama does actually haunt people and tell them to go back to Hinamizawa, but it's not like it's an abusive thing or a threatening thing or even a yandere thing. It's more so like she's like, hey, I miss you. Please come home. But, usually the people from Hinamizawa are also having brain worms, so it turns out when the god deity that's a cunny lolly is trying to tell you that, that they miss you, turns out your brain worms are making you hallucinate. But yeah, basically it's like all these people are infected with brain worms that cause paranoia, anger, and violence tendencies and psychosis. But there's also there actually is a god deity that lives at Hinamizawa and tries to help the residents, but she really can't do much. And most of her power has actually been channeled lately into helping Rika Furude fucking time loop through different timelines over and over. And because there's so many timelines where people die in so many different ways, and they're trying to find the way that they can, one, have a time loop to where, okay, here's a different variation, and we're trying different things, and we're also trying to give Rika some foreknowledge. Sometimes she possesses Rika, sometimes she gives Rika additional information, and sometimes Rika actually has memory from other time loops. Sometimes she has all the information, sometimes she has very minimal, sometimes she has none. Turns out it's very difficult to remember things if you're you're going through parallel dimensions. But yeah, basically Oyashiro-sama is real, but she's just a lolly cunny girl, anime character, who is trying to help but not doing the best job. But she is largely a benevolent being. But, this is essentially the story of the lolly god trying to tell Nazis to stop being bad people. And I mean, essentially that's what's happening is you have lolly cunny god trying to tell the evil Nazis to not be bad people, and also to tell the people that are good people, but who have brain worms causing a psychotic brain condition, to not go insane and to calm down. Not much success on either of those things. Now, granted, a lot of her power is being channeled to the time loop thing to try to fix, and save everyone. But that being said, even if she wasn't doing time loop stuff, because technically she could do more in the past, but her powers have gotten a little weak because she's been pushing herself really hard with, the time travel Mandela catalog stuff going on. Mandela effect, Mandela catalog. Either way, she's trying to deal with that stuff, so her power's a little weak. But before that, she only could do a limited amount more. She could show up physically and you could see her. She could also physically touch people. But it's not like she's a bodybuilder or anything. She's literally like really short. So she can give you a hug or maybe push something. It'd be like, imagine, okay, you have the power of telekinesis, but you can only exert 5 pounds of force as a general push. Like, you can't even like stab anyone with it. You can just like, you have the power to gently nudge somebody on the shoulder telepathically, telekinetically. Be like saying you have pyrokinesis. You can control fire, but only the fire equivalent to the one single matchstick. Or like I control the power of ice, and you can spawn one ice cube. Or you can be like the biggest asshole superhero or villain, whatever. It's like, what's your power? I can spawn a stepladder. Stepladder. And you just put a stepladder in front of somebody and they trip. Though to be fair, that any power becomes a broken power if you abuse numbers. Like, if you have the ability to spawn stepladders, well, what if you spawn a stepladder the size of Godzilla? What if you spawn a stepladder inside somebody's body? Like, you just spawn it through their skull, piercing their brain. What if you just keep constantly spawning thousands of stepladders? Heck, what if you just spawn 1 million stepladders and just sell them for like parts? Like, hey, here's infinite steel. Or you just like have a store and like, hey, who wants to buy stepladders? There's no cost, no overhead. I just make a stepladder, you give me $5. I'm rich now. I make infinite stepladders. Everyone who wants a stepladder gets a stepladder. Or heck, let's think small. You make a stepladder the size of like nanomachines. You just fill someone's blood vessels with tiny stepladders. Or heck, stepladders the size of atoms. You can make a nuclear explosion out of it by, hydrogen fusion, but with stepladders. It'd be like a Japanese anime. What are you doing, stepladder, son? Or imagine you just made a stepladder the size of a planet. Or heck, maybe just a stepladder the size of like Mount Everest, but you have it in space and then it's like fucking Sephiroth. The black materia and meteor. You guys remember the lyrics to the One-Winged Angel theme from Final Fantasy VII? I'm going to sing it real quick. Bells, frogs, big cherries, Tinker Bell, ham and cheese. Sephiroth. Bells, frogs, big cherries, Tinker Bell, ham and cheese. Sephiroth. I really want a Pepsi. I don't want it to be cold. But yeah, so yeah, it's the main thing is think of Team 4 Stars Helsing Alucard Abridged. It's like, who is actually behind the murders? Nazis. It's Mio Takano, leader of the Nazis. The Yakuza just sort of claims credit for the stuff going on because they really don't know and they're just trying to use it for political power. But yeah, it's literally an army of Nazis led by Mio Takano, who's a nurse. Also, there's everyone in this town is infected with brainworms and going through either an emotionally unsettling incident or leaving Hidemazawa will trigger the brainworms, which will cause you to have extreme paranoia, violent tendencies, anger, adrenaline issues, poor sleep, and just also poor brain function in the terms that you won't be able to think clearly and you'll be excessively angry and violent. Basically triggering the whole fight or flight response to such an extreme that you are having a mental breakdown and become violent. Also, there literally is a god, but it's a lolly cunny that really doesn't have a lot of power, and the best she can do is give you a hug and tell the bad people to stop. It'd be like Shondo showing up, like this footage of the feeling, like when it's like talking about the history and like Hitler wouldn't do that. Hitler's my friend, and they're like, people are like clip that out of context, like, oh, Lunar said Hitler's my friend. Like, no. But the point is this: I mean, like, imagine like World War II, and then like anime, heck, Anime didn't even exist back then, let alone VTubers. But imagine like Hitler in World War II, and all of a sudden like three-dimensional hologram of Shondo shows up in front of Hitler right before he's about to like start World War II. And then Shondo just like, and Hitler's like, what the fuck? It's like, it's an anime lolly cunny standing in front of him, VTuber. Shondo Fallen Shadow. It's like standing in front of Hitler before World War II. And then Hitler's like, what are you? And I'm like, and she's like, Shondo's like, Hitler, you're my friend. You wouldn't do these bad things. Do you guys think that would be enough to stop Hitler? Do you think Hitler would look at the floating anime short stack from the future, talking to him, and be like, you know, I was going to start World War II and Holocaust 6 million Jews and several million other people that are not Jewish but are also going to be horribly murdered by this, as well as untold amounts of military and civilian casualties. But, you know, this very short anime VTuber character that I don't even have any context to know about because, you know, at that time color television didn't even exist. I wonder, here's the thing, like what if you could like do a hologram projection into the past? Not time travel, like what if you physically couldn't go back in the past, but what if you could time travel to the past and send a 3D hologram? A lot of people think, oh, let's do a 3D hologram of people. But heck, what if it was like a 3D hologram of full-size Godzilla? Just scare the shit out of people. Fucking original Jurassic Park movie. Like, there's a new Jurassic Park movie, like Jurassic World Rebirth or something, but I'm like, that looks largely boring to me. But I still look back on the very first Jurassic Park as being a very good movie. Heck, I really was really big into reading dinosaur stuff, and I had a big blue binder with all these dinosaur facts. I miss that book. Being sentimental about a book. But to be fair, my mom got that book for me, so granted, if I ever buy another one of those books, I'm going to take it over and show it to my mom. But I'm just saying this. What if, like, people from thousands of years ago, if you could send a hologram in the form of an anime character, like, imagine like you're sending a hologram back to like Abraham Lincoln of like Black Lagoon. Or just like, you just like make a television in the past with a PS2 with some DVDs of Black Lagoon with its own separate electrical system because, you know, electricity doesn't exist. And it just says, play me. And you're like, and Abraham Lincoln would be like, what? Then you can imagine at that point you might tell him about the, you know, assassination. Or heck, imagine like it'd be like Anakin Skywalker were to like before the events of the Clone Wars. What if he all of a sudden just found a VHS tape and a TV of all the Star Wars movies, and he just sat and watched it? Then again, heck, a lot of people like AI and holograms are getting more and more advanced. What if there was a computer program? No, I imagine it would have to be like a really high-end computer, like the 5090 stuff, which I'm pretty sure I'll never even see one of those IRL, let alone have one. Like, my computer is barely above potato level. but it's still the most advanced computer I've ever owned. So I'm still grateful for it, but still. I'm just saying, imagine if you had a fully sentient AI, or not even that, just imagine like there was a way to have like a hologram of an anime character. Like actually three-dimensionally in front of you. Heck, you know, like a lot of those VTubers do, like they actually have full model body tracking stuff for the VR chat. Like Fillion, that she does like flips and stuff. Which I'll tell you this, I definitely couldn't do a flip. If I did, I'd probably break something. Like in my house and myself. Heck, every time I try to exercise or do anything, I injure myself in some way. My left leg still hurts. Like every time I try to go to the gym, or even just, heck, the main thing with my left leg was because there was this thing at work that was really heavy that needed to get lift because it got knocked over by the forklift and it was in a position, but it wasn't like a super big thing, but it was a thing that it took 3 of us guys working together to try to lift it, and even then, like, it was probably not a very ergonomic thing to do. So I definitely strained a few muscles doing that. I can still work. Still walk, go to the bike trail. I just can't jog or do the elliptical. Like if I try to hop on that elliptical, that's a stabbing pain in my leg. So hopefully that recovers eventually. But like imagine like right now, if like anyone familiar like Shondo, the VTuber, imagine if there was a 3D hologram of that person. Or, heck, since, VTubers are people, imagine if you were actually, like, friends or knew in real life the physical, real person behind the VTuber avatar. And they were just, like, your casual friend. Heck, I think that's why a lot of people watch VTubers, which I would have to say I'm definitely not immune to that reason, because I watch a lot of people too, though usually not live, usually VODs. But I'll say I think it's largely just a lot of people that are lonely and it's entertaining. Like a lot of the VTubers. 1, they're entertaining. 2, I think a lot of people are lonely. And it's kind of socializing. It's kind of like a vicarious way of living through other people. It's almost like say you watch Asmon going on a stream, it's almost like you're just like you and a few other 1,000 people are just sort of casually chilling in his room, playing the games with him. So it's largely just a lot of people that find a lot of entertainment in it, or just very lonely people. And heck, some of the people are very informative in terms of like news type stuff. Like Kirsch and Smug-Alana and Leaflet tend to discuss a lot of actual political stuff. And of course, some people do, some people don't. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with TV stations. Comedy Central usually is going to have comedy. But of course, people are not TV channels. So, but in general, some people tend to stay to certain topics more than others, and some people literally are just themselves. Heck, I'm just me. It's not like there's anything consistent in terms like, oh yeah, I'm Lunar D8, I'm the horror VTuber, game player man. Or he's the person who reads World War II documentaries or some shit. No, I do random shit, though it seems to be I'm largely a Higurashi guy. But I'm just saying this. How would you feel if AI could take any anime? Like imagine if you had like a little 3 foot by 3 foot little mat that would be on the floor in your living room. And you would just like hook a TV up to it, and it could be like DVDs, Blu-rays, even VHS tapes that would be getting digitally read. And like what if it read your anime and the AI reconfigured it in real time to show the contents of your movie or anime, but on the 3 foot by 3 foot, like they would have a 3 foot by 3 foot mat on the ground and they'd be projecting a hologram into the air. So you'd have like a full size 3-dimensional. Though I imagine a lot of people would just be playing hentai games on it or watching hentai on it. And again, I'm not judging those people. I'd be one of those people. I'd be like, hey guys, I imagine that'd be like something I probably wouldn't be able to show anybody. Like, what's this? Well, you see, I got this 3 foot by 3 foot mat, and now here's a full size 3-dimensional hologram of Sylvia from Konosuba naked. Or here's a Stolfo completely naked. Or it'd be like, here's the fight between Majin, Vegeta, and Super Saiyan 2 Goku, but in 3D, as holograms. I guess the main point I'm saying is this. How would you guys feel about actual hologram technology? Heck, I know Japan does some concerts with like Hatsune Miku, which look really incredible. Had to yawn. Heck, I've never owned a VR thing, but I know VR stuff's always improving. Though hopefully we don't go to like a Neuralink stuff, like Sword Art Online, because that doesn't seem very safe. Okay, I forget what we were talking about, guys. I kind of got distracted and went on. I keep saying, like, guys, I'm not going to go on tangents anymore and, talk about random shit. I'm just going to read the story. And I will get better about it, okay? I will eventually get my autism and ADHD under control. Also, apparently, probably depression and borderline personality. Whatever, but hey, it's meh. Is what it is. Heck, I was kind of thinking about, like, what if you were to, like, map out the differences between, like, vampires and werewolves and stuff? Heck, what if you had, like, what if there was, like, a main genetic component that made people become vampires and werewolves and stuff? But, like, what if it was a thing that less than 1% of people even have? And even then, that 1%, like 999 out of 1,000 of them would become either a vampire or a werewolf. And, like, what if it's like a vampire has, like, 300% increased physical strength per muscle fiber, but they also tend to burn through calories too quickly. So they'll tend to be like very anorexic looking people or very skinny to where they can't build muscle. But you'd be like a fairly skinny twink sort of person, but you'd have the strength of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also, you can use increased strength and speed, but only one at a time. Now, the main thing is you have increased healing, but you're not like anything that's like a soft tissue muscle can get injured quickly. So, like ligaments, tendons, especially your heart. But you can heal faster, but your tendons and ligaments will take more time to recover. Also, as a vampire, maybe you have like anesthetics don't work on you. So, whether it's like a painkiller or even stuff like alcohol, like what if you can't get drunk? I'm gonna have like actual vampires somehow come across my video and commenting saying, "No, you're wrong, Looter. Vampires can get drunk. I went to the bar last night." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I believe that. I feel it is more believable that I would have a discussion about anime semantics with an actual vampire than, there actually being a lot of people watching this video. I have very low expectations of myself in all things in life, including this hobby of me rambling at the computer. Then again, it's not like I have no plans to make any money on this. I could have 1 million subscribers. I have no plans to ever be monetized. I'm never going to get ad money. I'm never going to have sponsors or merchandise or super chats or any of that stuff. I'm literally just a crazy guy rambling at the computer. At the end of the day, I just talk about what the fuck I feel like talking about. If anybody out there wants to chill and hang out with this tsundere otaku, you're more than welcome to hang out and join the party, as long as you're polite and possibly bring snacks and Pepsi. I don't even know what the fuck we talk about anymore. I'm like discussing, stats, buffs, and nerfs on vampires and werewolves. But how about this? What if technically there were like a similar genetic condition that could cause a naturally existing vampire or werewolf or an eightythree, but it's not like cartoonish or supernatural shit. It's just a genetic mutation. Whereas with vampires, it's just they're more physically stronger for muscle fibers, and their organs are more efficient and work better, and they can't get drunk. Anesthetics and alcohol have no effect. They're more so immune to sort of getting diseases or normal illnesses. And like I said, but they tend to be anorexic. Also, maybe the bone marrow inside their bones isn't producing enough. Like it makes more blood than a normal person, but it could be because you're so much more efficient with your organs that maybe you're burning through the way the blood cells much faster, which is why. So between that and maybe an iron deficiency, vampires need to drink blood. Also, we'll say that the change in the muscle fibers, all that affects your skin melanin, which makes you much more sensitive to sunlight, to where sunlight or even ultraviolet radiation or even infrared radiation actually causes severe pain, burning, possibly even cancer. Did I literally just say vampires get cancer as a nerf? I mean, I did say earlier they can't get drunk. So, I don't know. Heck. Eventually, give me enough time, I'll fit orcs and elves and every kind of fantasy race into this. But also, maybe like the reason why holy water is an issue is because maybe like pH balance of the skin or something. Maybe like the issue of crosses isn't like anything to do with God. It's like vampires just can't handle right angles. Like you just like put a bunch of like geometry stuff in front of them, and a vampire starts having like a seizure. Like you just put a cross in front of a vampire. Maybe it has nothing to do with like religious stuff. Maybe it's just like all the 90-degree angles close to each other, like just freaks out like an epileptic person seeing like lights. So maybe like it gives them seizures because they can't. Though, am I saying vampires are bad at math? What is this? The video where I'm just making fun of vampires? I'm like, to be fair, if you're a vampire, I'm not trying to offend you. It's like, now Lunar is apologizing to his vampire viewers. Yeah. And let's say werewolf. Maybe like werewolves have like a genetic predisposition where their body just packs on a shit ton of muscle. And everyone's like, that sounds awesome. But your body needs an absolute massive amount of protein for it. And let's say the downsides are this. Also, maybe it could have like a play on like rabies or something. Like, so maybe like a person with like the werewolfism, like you have increased physical strength, but you also have roid rage, and also you tend to have kidney failure. I don't know if that's a good trade-off. And like the eightythree thing, How about the anime Elfen Lied? You know, where they got like the invisible arms and like cutting people up? What if as an Ifilid, it's like a play on ADHD and autism? And everyone's like, how are you making the Cthulhu Dungeons and Dragons tentacle people that look like the Ood from Doctor Who into a thing about ADHD and autism? As well as Elfen Lied. Well, hear me out. What if the main thing with Ifilids is like each person has to have a main nerf, whereas the vampires aren't producing enough red blood cells, as well as an iron deficiency. The werewolves need a massive amount of protein in order to make their bodies still function, so they have to constantly eat like the Flash. Also, they have like kidney problems, whereas like an Ifilid being like the version of like a werewolf or vampire, but let's like, you know, like a werewolf is like a person like with wolf stuff, and a vampire's bats. What if like an Ifilid is like a human who is like a vampire werewolf, but the animal it's based off of is an octopus? And like the main downside with them is they need to drink human blood to get some sort of stabilizing thing for their nervous system. That basically their nervous system as well as their I'm trying to think of the correct word in terms of your brain neural network. It's not your synapses, nerves, neurons. Synapses. Damn, what is that word? Neurochem. Fucking hell. I cannot remember that. I'm gonna have to look it up on Google. Like, I should be able to remember that, but I can't. But I'm not. How do I even ask Google that? What am I even trying to ask? Brain neurons, chemical signals, nervous system. Neurons are the fundamental units of the brain responsible for receiving, processing, and transmitting information through electrical and chemical signals. They are the building blocks of the nervous system, allowing us to think, feel, move, interact with the world. Okay, brain neurons. Word for the chemicals in brain. Neurotransmitters! Thank you! That's what I was trying to think of. Granted, I was not able to remember it on my own. My own neurotransmitters are apparently failing me there. But thank you, the AI thing on Google search. The chemicals used by neurons to transmit with each other are called neurotransmitters. They act as chemical messengers, transmitting information between neurons, nerve cells, and the brain neurons and muscles. Neurotransmitters are molecules that carry signals across the synapse, the tiny gap between neurons. But yes, that was the word I was trying to remember and failing. Neurotransmitters. That's what I was trying to remember. The word neurotransmitters. But I could not remember that, so I had to look up Google in a roundabout way until I eventually was able to get that information. Thank you, Google. Neurotransmitters. But like, main thing is this. Say you're a vampire. The main drawback... Okay, so here's the thing. Your benefits as a vampire, like technically it would be the same genetic condition, but like only 1% of the human population is able to even do it, and even then it's not even a guarantee. So 1% of humans even have a possibility that this genetic condition could unlock, and only 1% of that 1% would actually have it happen, even though there's a possibility. So say there's only 1% of the people on the planet who have the genetic predisposition that they could have this genetic mutation. But even if you were to infect entirety of that 1%, only 1% of those people would actually trigger the response, which would mean That would actually be 1 in 10,000 people on the planet would actually become either a vampire, werewolf, or ithelid. And also, it would be, I would say, 99.99% would be either a vampire or werewolf. Now, I'd say maybe vampires would be more common than werewolves. By at least maybe a ratio of 3 to 2. Maybe 3 to 1. 2.7 to 1? No, 2.3 to 1. So, for every one werewolf, there are 2.3 vampires. I think that's a good proportion. But that being said, out of 10,000, and only 1 in 10,000 humans on the planet, out of 8 billion, there's 8 billion humans. Okay? So, out of 8 billion humans, only 1 in 10,000 would actually become a vampire, werewolf, or ithelid. In terms of this made-up bullshit I'm thinking of right now. So, 1 in 10,000, I just had to divide. So 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, that's 4 zeros. So, let's go to 8 billion. Take it down to 800 million, 80 million, 8 million. Did I miss something? No. Okay, 800 million, 80 million, 8 million, 800,000. So technically, according to that, it would then mean that 800,000 of the 8 billion humans on the planet would suddenly become vampires, werewolves, or ithelids. And I would say, like I said, for every one werewolf, there would be 2.3 vampires. But I would say largely, again, you would then say, out of all the people that would either become a vampire, werewolf, or ithelid, 1 in 10,000 would actually become an ithelid. So, for every one ithelid, there would be 9,999 of being a mix of vampires and werewolves, with it being 2.3 vampires per one werewolf. Which, by that proportion, it would then mean out of the 800,000, 80,000, 8,000, 880. Okay. Which mean, at that point, out of the entire global population of 8 billion people, there would technically only be 80 ithelids. And we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so what if, the main positives you have as a vampire is you're a very naturally skinny twink with high energy who tends to sleep during the day, and you need naps. You are very sensitive to sunlight and need to wear a ton of sunblock. You have low iron. You need blood transfusions because you don't make enough red blood cells. Maybe you need to go to the vitamin shop and get some vitamin supplements. You're as strong as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you have good night vision. But you also have low iron, low red blood cells, need blood transfusions. You get tired easily. You burn in the sun. You sometimes have heart disease or chest pains. You have to drink ionized water, the smart water stuff that's a 9.5 pH instead of normal water. Also, you have to drink a lot of Pepsi. And also, you have depression and borderline. Okay, we're just mixing. Everyone, we see what you're doing there, Lunar. Yes, I'm trying to be funny, I guess. Also, garlic hurts your stomach. Also, you're susceptible to epilepsy, and seeing anything that's like a bunch of like right angles makes you feel dizzy. Also, you have a terrible sense of balance and can't like ride bicycles. At this point, I'm just like putting the random looter debuffs, like things I can't do in real life. Like, oh, well, now vampires can't do that either because I can't. I'm gonna have a fucking group of vampires to be like, okay, fucking looter, we're gonna teach you how to fucking ride a bicycle. I'm like, it's not an issue of me learning the skill. It's an issue of I don't have a good sense of balance. Like, I don't drink alcohol, and yet I'm pretty sure if a cop were to pull me over and ask me to do the DUI test, I would fail. Okay? Also, I can't afford the medical bills. Okay? If I were to, like, try to drive a bicycle, he says. I'm just saying, I'd fall over, get hurt, and then I'd have to go to the hospital. I'm like, one, I can't afford the hospital bills, and two, I wouldn't be able to go to work and do my job. So then how am I going to pay rent? Okay, next, werewolves. You build a shit ton of muscle, and you feel like really hyped on life. But you have diabetes, and your kidneys are constantly failing. You have kidney stones. You have roid rage, and you have to eat an absolute shit ton of protein, or else you can't maintain your muscles and you have horrible muscle cramps. Also, let's say you get period cramps even though you're a guy. And you also have terrible diarrhea. Everyone's like, you're making being a vampire or werewolf sound terrible. Also, you're afraid of heights. And the ocean. And giant things in the ocean. Also, you can't have pineapple on pizza. Like, you can have pineapple normally, just not on pizza. Also, you have an addiction to watching VTubers. Everyone's like, what the hell is that a werewolf thing? Okay, Ithilid. Basically, you're a human. You don't change physically in any way. But you have terrible short-term memory. You have really bad autism and ADHD, like the worst ADHD. Like, just imagine like Trump describing this now. He has the best ADHD. Some say it's the greatest ADHD. But make ADHD great again. But the main point being this. What if, like, the main thing as an Ithilid is, okay, you need to consume blood because you're missing something for the neurotransmitters in your brain. But maybe, like, the best way to fix it, like, just chocolate? Okay, so your main negatives as an Ithilid is that you need Red Bull, dark chocolate, and lots of B vitamins. So basically, you're like living off milk jugs of Red Bull and Monster. Okay, so basically, as an Ithilid, basically what's occurred here, like how the vampires are twinks and the werewolves are like big, muscly people. If you're an Ithilid, you're a femboy. You have to become a femboy at that point. And you have to be addicted to Monster Energy drink. Everyone's like, that sounds redundant. Usually those two things are the same category. It's like, you have on the left side, you have a picture of a femboy, and the right side, you have a picture of someone addicted to Monster. And you're like, these are the same picture. Okay, but let's say the Ithilid thing, you're getting your powers via the octopus. Like it's a fucking spirit animal Power Ranger or some shit. Like it's a fucking element in Pokemon. We're just going to make an entire... Guys, at this point, I'm going to make an entire system of fictional fantasy characters. But all of them are going to have a special power based off of some kind of mental illness. We're going to be fucking collecting mental illnesses like they're fucking Pokemon. We're going to be basically, using mental illnesses as if they're different types in Pokemon. Like, depression is a grass type. And schizophrenia is ghost type. And psychosis is fighting type. ADHD is a fire type. Autism's an electric type. How many of you guys are both a fire and electric type right now? Everyone's like, we're all grass types together. And then we'll say, like, a water type is borderline personality disorder. And everyone's like, how many people are just like every type of Pokemon at this point? I would say I need to make an apology video for saying all this stuff that would surely get me canceled, but I've already made an apology video. It's hilarious. You should watch it. Made it years ago because I felt like it. It's my sense of humor. Though, on a side note, despite what the apology video might imply, you know, I have not done many of the things that are stated in the apology video. For example, I have never fucked a hooker. I have also never done meth. The apology video, granted, it's me singing a song, and the lyrics, it's the song Apologize Nothing by Bobaflex, a pretty kick-ass band. Set to a picture of Ramadu Amamura, who is actually a DBZ fusion of Jack Hanma and Astolfo in my own head canon. Fanfiction bullshit. Anyway, one of the lyrics is, been on meth for a week or two. I have indeed not been on meth for a week or two. In fact, I've never even smoked anything in my life. Hell, the only drugs I've ever done have been via doctor prescriptions. Unless you count Pepsi. I've had so much Pepsi. A lot of Red Bull, too. At least less energy drinks now, because, you know, one, kidney stones do suck, and two, you know, too much caffeine is bad for your heart. There was a time where, like, my chest was in constant pain. Okay, main point is saying this. You guys know the anime Elfen Lied? How, like, the people actually have, like, invisible arms behind them and stuff? Let's say this. An Infilid, you have the power of octopuses and cat. Because you octo, pussy. What? Everyone's like, come on. I'm just saying this. You can become a Neko, too. And or, like you can just spawn cat ears on your head. Make them appear and disappear at will. You can also have a cat tail. Disappear and reappear at will. But also you can have like the invisible hands from like Elfen Lied, but you also have like tentacles. So you have like octopus tentacles, like Doc Ock from Spider-Man. But you have like 8 of them coming out of your back. And they don't affect you on weight or anything. They're completely weightless, but they're also super strong. And they can move like faster than light. And everyone's like, how does that work? I don't know. How does light work? Like, here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, how do we make spaceships move at the speed of light? Or how do we make them go faster than light? And I've already asked the question of like, well, if we can go faster than light, does that change the rest of the rules of physics? Everyone's like, well, you can't move faster than light. Yes, I understand that. But if you could, would that change the laws of physics? Like, would the rest of the math about movement actually still apply? But here's the bigger question. Light moves at light speed, right? But why? Where does light itself get the energy to move at that speed? Why does light move that fast? That's the question. I'm not like, yes, people can argue about, oh, what would it take to break light speed? Or even you want to use portals or wormholes or whatever. No, I'm saying this. Why? Why does light speed move at that speed? Why does light move at light speed? What is it in? Like photons? What is happening? Like, I don't know. Why? You know what? Google. We're going to ask Google this. See if Google can figure this out. It probably do. Why does light move was going to say at light speed, but it says so fast in the autocomplete. So the rest of the things is, why does light move? Why does it move slower in a medium, slower in water, faster than sound, at a constant speed, and waves in a straight line faster than sound? Why does it move fast? Light moves incredibly fast because it's a wave phenomenon, and it's made up of photons. Okay, that was kind of right. Which are massless particles. In a vacuum, light travels at the speed of light, a universal constant, approximately meters per second. This speed is the fastest thing anything can travel in the universe for now. Okay, other than, of course, photons not having mass, but the main thing is this. Why do photons move so fast? Photons being massless due to the fundamental principles of physics, Einstein's relativity, mass, appearance, resistance, friction, so move at the maximum possible speed. Okay, so the reason why it's written the way it is because we track something at moving at the maximum possible speed, and then we converted it into units that were more easily understood by people. In a medium, however, photons interact with atoms and molecules, which can cause them appear to move slower, but the photons themselves still maintain their inherent light speed. Okay, I understand they don't have mass. There's no restriction on that. But still, why? Like they have to have energy to be moving, right? So where does that energy come from? And technically, if it's an issue of just not having resistance, then what if you could just give additional force to something with no resistance? Or would that just make a bomb? Like, how does physics work in this situation? Like, heck, at that point, couldn't we just, hypothetically find some way to, make some sort of, not like a warp bubble, where it's a small explosion pushing you on a fucking tidal wave surfboard over the ocean. But more what if you could isolate a pocket of gravity on a ship? Obviously you'd want to make some amount of gravity on it too, to people walk around. But then again, also, how would that work too? How would you have artificial gravity making people have normal human functional gravity for a person to, live normally on the ship, but also have it not... here's the thing. I'm saying the possibility of having gravity drives, but having two different gravity drives at the same time, doing separate things, but on the same ship. Obviously, you want a type of gravity that makes gravity pull people to an area. But here's the thing. The other idea is this. Why couldn't you just make, a gravity drive? If you could just make an area around a ship where all of a sudden it no longer has the properties of gravity. There's no... But then again, if a ship's just in the middle of space, why would it have gravity to anything? Anyway. But I mean... Okay, we'll get to that in a second. I'm just saying this. If you just turn gravity off and make it especially if you're above a planet, let's say you're in the sky above an airplane level. Okay, if you turn gravity off, you could freely move around. But then again, here's the thing. One, at that point, okay, if you turn gravity off or turn the mass function of a ship off, you could hypothetically just move at whatever speed. But here's the thing. If you turn gravity off, then what's keeping the ship in the atmosphere of the planet? Wouldn't you just fly out of this, how would you control where you are in regard to the planet? And even then, even if you had a fucking gravity drive that did that for a ship, and then you had a separate gravity drive that made people walk around normal on a ship, could they actually function at the same time? I don't know. Everyone's you went on another tangent, Lunar. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, what if the iflit thing is, you don't become a squid person or something. Let's just say you become a cute anime femboy. But you're addicted to Monster energy drinks. Also, you have the power to freely become a cat boy with cat ears and a cat tail. But they can come and go as you please. But your addiction and Red Bull and dark chocolate and video games is ever present. Also, you have like invisible arms and tentacles, because we're making this a tentacle hentai now. But you have the ability to spawn tentacles out of your back that can be both visible, but can phase through solid matter, but they also have incredible strength and skill. Like, imagine like the shadow thing of Pride. You know, Salim from Full Metal Alchemist. And like your tentacles can become shadows, they can become swords, chainsaws, guns, large scissors, a large mouth that's actually connected to you, tongues. This really is becoming a hentai. Eyeballs, tentacles, any type of tentacle. Like, it could be like octopus tentacles or the suctioners, or it can actually just become actual tentacles in the regard that it's just like a bunch of really long dicks, because we're making this into a very hardcore, hard R, hardcore radiation. Well, not radiation, that'd be terrible. What's the appropriate word that describing a very erotic hentai that's extreme? Everyone's like, it's called tentacle hentai, man. Okay, so so the debuff is that you are a cute anime femboy who's addicted to Monster energy drinks, dark chocolate, and video games. You can sometimes have cat ears and a cat tail whenever you feel like it. You need hugs and want to give hugs all the time. We'll also say you're really horny. And you can spawn unlimited amounts of any kind of tentacle you can imagine out of your arm. That can both either be invisible, or it can be visible, but you can choose to selectively have it just phase through matter. You can also change how much weight it applies to anything, so it's not like, weighing down your back or hurting you in any way. You can also use it to fly, like Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. You also can shoot like Kamehamehas and do everything Goku can from DBZ, including instant transmission. And your ADHD gets a lot worse. Almost like, also like each of the tentacles can like a hand, and like you could be like writing a book or something. So like think of like Naruto's Shadow Clone Jutsu. But like each of your tentacles can like just go in front of a book, and like out of the tentacles can like spawn different anime versions of you that are like fully formed heads with arms, and they have eyeballs and mouths, and they can just read books and play guitar, and you can like learn 20 different things at once. Like you could have like your tentacles are just like doing a bunch of things, so you can like get 19 different PhDs at the same time. And like, or just watch 19 different hentais at the same time. Priorities. Everyone's like, what is this? I don't know. I've basically just boiled down vampires are twinks that need a lot of sunblock. Werewolves are just people that need a lot of protein powder and have kidney problems. And Iflids are really just femboy, catboys, neckos. You just become a femboy that drinks Pepsi and Monster energy drinks and likes dark chocolate and video games, and you have, depending on you feel like it, invisible or visible tentacles that can either phase through or not phase through matter, that can either be any type of tentacle you can imagine for any kind of sexual thought, or flying through the air, or maybe working at a construction site, lifting giant steel beams to build a building, or it can be like Elfin Lied, to where you're like knives and stuff, and you're like hands, and you just. I mean, you could use it to kill people, I guess. I mean, it's your choice. You're now a femboy who drinks a lot of Pepsi and energy drinks and Monster and plays video games, but you also have lots of tentacles that can change to any type of tentacle you can imagine. You use your tentacles how you want. If you want to use them to become like, I don't know, you join like the U.S. Marines and use the tentacles to fight terrorists, I guess. Like, or you could use them, for hentai stuff, I guess. Or just to hold a lot of cans of Pepsi. But I would say the main downside is that with that condition that you just have really bad ADHD and autism. And you have really short-term memory, borderline personality disorder, depression, and you get distracted very easily and you can't focus on anything. Also, you just really want to give and receive hugs all the time. Also, you just have to read things all the time. Also, you're constantly starting and just abandoning projects to start new projects. You're like, hey, it'd be like saying, hey, I'm going to write this plot to a movie. And then you're like, hey, let's play that video game. Like, how many of you guys have games on your backlog that you haven't finished? Or it'd be like, hey, let's ride bikes. And like, wait, is that a butterfly? Let's go walk after the butterfly. My life is I go to work, I walk on a bike trail, and I have these conversations with a computer screen. I don't know what's happening. Fuck. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the video here. I went on a tangent. I think I will succeed on the next video and all the videos onward on my goal of not going on tangents. So starting next video, I will be trying really hard to not have ADHD and autism, I guess. Again, I don't really know if I have those things or not. I just feel like the conversation I just had was, of course, with myself, was not a conversation a person who did not have those things, or is, in fact, a normal person would have. I feel like a normal person would not. I feel like a normal person would not have had the conversation I just had. So, yeah, sorry for the tangent. Thanks for stopping by. Though I imagine if you even did stay to listen to this whole video, I don't know why you would want to listen to more of me. If you do, cool, thanks, I appreciate it. I like the company and the compliments and people just generally saying nice things to me, because then again, if you say bad things to me, I'll just ignore it. Like, whatever. Had plenty of that in my life. It's more so just the distinct lack of positive affection or compliments in my life. Then again, I mean, in general, I don't remember what a hug feels like. I mean, aside from my mom, I give my mom hugs. But in general, my life consists of, I don't remember what a hug or a compliment feels like. And I'm fairly certain I have never met a single person in my life who actually thought I was attractive. So, I'm just saying, in general, the feeling that everyone in the world thinks you're ugly, that's a sad thought. I don't like that thought. But that's reality. So, sad face. Well, I'm going to hop off here. Maybe stop at the store and get some Pepsi or something. Something cold that doesn't have caffeine, since I have to go to bed soon. And then I'll finish the rest of my Arby's. But, thanks everybody for stopping by. I do appreciate it, and I hope everyone out there has all the hugs and head pats you could ever want and need, and I hope all of you are getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, and above all, I hope all of you know that you are enough, that you're fine just the way you are, and that you deserve to be loved and cared about, and you are worth it, and your life matters. And I'm happy all of you are alive. Bye.